and she disappeared into the kitchen. Such a shame. She would have been wonderful. She looked exactly the same.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Does the signal man stop while he's
No, he doesn't. The wife goes to the kitchen, climbs up to a top shelf, produces a revolver and fires through the door and scores a direct hit.
A question over here.
I've heard recently or read recently on the internet that you've actually found more film footage for Napoleon. And that you may be re-editing.
Now, there's always going to be more footage found, I think. We've got about 4.5 seconds that we may be inserting into the film before we screen it in San Francisco, in Oakland next year. There's more footage to be found, one hopes.
Trouble is, when you find footage for that picture, you have to change the score for the longest score ever written for a motion picture. I think I'm right in saying that when we did the first presentation, the musicians in the orchestra turned a page and all the music stands collapsed.
Perfectly true. The score was just too heavy for the stand.
Actually, can you talk a little bit about this, the premiere out in Oakland? Can you talk us about that?
Well, yes, this will be the first time that the full version with the Carl Davis score is being performed in America. It will be the first time that the latest restoration that we did in 2000 has been performed anywhere outside Europe. So it will be a special event. To anybody who's never been to Paramount Theatre in Oakland, and I suspect that's the majority of people here, it's a fantastic theatre. It's a beautiful late 1920s picture palace, 3,000 seats. We're going to have an 85 foot wide screen, 46-piece orchestra, only 4 performances, unique experience, don't miss it. In length, this version is 5 hours, 32 minutes. The difference is in part because the Coppola version was run at 24 rather than 20 frames per second, so that saved quite a lot of time. But that was in itself an abridged version of the first restoration that Kevin did, and that is now 40 minutes longer, so there is a lot more footage than there is in the Coppola version. Now, the two completely independent scores. They were written at about the same time, but they're independent.
Any other questions?
How do you keep your eyes open when you're watching silent movies?
Such a dumbass.
Okay, we have a question over here somewhere. Wait for the microphone, otherwise half the audience doesn't hear you.
Yeah, I can totally relate being, a little younger, I guess, after getting my first projector at age 10. But I wanted to ask, I still have the first films I got when I was 10. Do you still have your films?
Of course.
There was someone over here, hold on.
A comment more than a question, Mr. Brownlow. I just want to thank you very much for the grades going by, and Buster Keaton, the part I had to follow, both of which were just astonishing to me in recreating an almost lost era. And it's meant so much to me in my enjoyment of film.
Thank you. I should add, Keaton, the Keaton program, the company that owned that one put it out on DVD with the wrong master. There are no identifications for who's talking. You don't even know it's Buster's widow There's no titles for the films. And nobody in the company thought this was wrong. And there's even a hole where photograph is supposed to go, and there's just junk behind it. It just makes one so angry.
I'd like to reiterate my comment and say ditto. And I've been carrying this book around, not everywhere, but for the last 35 years. And I love it. It's just one of the best books ever.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll gladly carry it forever if you sign it.
I tell you, the funny thing is, it was turned down by a number of publishers, and one of them said, "You know what's wrong with this book? Too much. How did they say? Too much about Griffith and too many exclamation points."
Any more questions?
Going once, going twice.
You had a question which I couldn't hear. Could you repeat it into the microphone? It's on its way to you. Vitaphone is traveling.
It's slow when you get in that turn.
The audience doesn't seem to want me to ask you the question.
Any others? I think we're done, Mike.
Well, I'd like to thank our, I'm standing over here.
You can tell I'm a silent film historian.
Let's have one more round of applause.